Yesterday, the Gina Davis Institute and the advocacy organization Moms First released a report that your foundation, R12, supported, examining the cultural portrayals of motherhood in television. Can you tell us about why this project interested you and what the study found?
Yes, as you were saying, the Gina Davis Institute and Moms First released this report, and my husband and I, our foundation, the R12 Foundation, helped to fund it. Because I think from our standpoint, and certainly from mine, there are three key reasons why it felt vital to see the information they were going to be pulling through this report. So on a personal level, I've just always loved understanding women and our stories and our lived experiences and our shared experiences. So I was really curious to see what the report was going to uncover in terms of from a philanthropic standpoint with our foundation. There's obviously a lot of work to be done in terms of supporting women and moms. You can begin with paid leave and...
Hello. This sounds more like a competition to see how many times you can reference their foundation, as opposed to giving specific solutions. Saying paid leave isn't enough. The word philanthropic shows just how self-aware Meghan is. Aware of branding herself as the good person she wants people to perceive her as.
One of the findings actually said that working moms are paid 62 cents to the dollar for what working dads are. And it's almost feeling punitive at a certain point when you're a mom and you're juggling so much and caring so much and you want to be supported in the best way possible.
Yes, because that's how you deal with statistics in a totally reliable fashion. You take one statistic that you've actually bothered to memorize, mention it as a literal side note.
You know, and just really looking at, one of the findings actually said that...
And go straight to what you're really saying this for, to play on the audience's indignation in order to come across as their advocate.
It's almost feeling punitive at a certain point when you're a mom and you're juggling so much and caring so much and you want to be supported in the best way possible.
This doesn't sound like a calculating pathos appeal at all. Never mind considering the hundreds of independent variables that go into it. To name a few, who were the participants? Which occupations did they have? How many hours did they work? Etc., etc.
So it's those reasons then...
And each and every one of these three reasons, in case there were three reasons.
Three key reasons why it felt vital.
Is very much specific and couldn't have been said by literally anyone else.
I've just always loved understanding women and our stories and our...
And what the study
she
found.
was asked what this study found, but was only able to come up with one oversimplified statistic. And next, for the third time, Meghan mentions her foundation, unintentionally revealing that advertising is what this is really about, disguised as good intentions, of course.
You know, we have a production company, and as we build out our slate and have projects that we're doing, or with podcasting as well, to ensure that we are responsibly filling in the roles of moms and women to be reflected in a way that's accurate. So this report, I think, is really valuable, and just proud we could support it.
And yet, Meghan hasn't said anything about what this entails, but she did get to mention their great projects and podcasts.
She's an incredibly powerful voice for gender equality. Her new podcast, Archetypes, just topped the Spotify charts around the world. And
she's proud of the valuable report that you couldn't reliably cite one statistic from. That sounds about as authentic as the initial flattery.
So much brilliance on this panel.
There's nothing like flattery to prevent objections and disagreement from the other people on stage.
But social media is not going away. And look, I think by design, there was an entry point that's supposed to be positive and creating community. And something has devolved.
On a surface level, what Meghan says sounds like something everyone would agree with. However, the way Meghan defines positive and devolved might be and is probably quite different from many other people's individual definitions of the terms. Next, Meghan talks about solutions without giving solutions.
So for us, it's just, what is the solution? What can we do behind the scenes? What do we continue to do behind the scenes? How can we work with professionals and experts to really figure out, in knowing this is not going away, how do we make it safer, better, more positive?
So what are they doing behind the scenes? The expression gives the impression that there's a lot going on without Meghan and Harry having to mention what's going on specifically. What are they talking to these professionals about? What do adjectives like better and positive mean?
You know, but a young girl's going on looking for healthy recipes, but an algorithm starts giving her nothing but inspiration and anorexia, and she's hospitalized as a result of that. There are so many twists and turns that can be avoided. So we're hoping to be part of that solution, all of us together as a community.
I don't know a single algorithm that promotes disorders. On the contrary, algorithms are said to never promote that kind of content. According to this view, almost anything could have the potential to affect someone negatively. But what's the solution? Censorship of all things that could potentially have a negative impact.
There are so many twists and turns that can be avoided, all of us together as a community.
Which twists and turns? How can we avoid them? What community is Meghan talking about? People who define right and wrong the way she does.
And I think equally, and every country has different guardrails on things like this. We've had insight sessions. We were just in Germany. We had one with parents there. My husband's done them in the UK, and obviously we've done a collective of families across the States. But as we've also discussed with, the tech space and online harms has been important just prior to working specifically with families. And it's Tristan Harris, who's a friend of ours that we started working with a few years ago, founder of Center for Humane Technology. And
the fact that they're being evasive about solutions at their own summit about solutions tells us a lot about these solutions and the real intent with this self-promotional event.
When something is invented, let's take the car, for example, you would put in safeguards. And so as we watch the evolution of social media and the internet, what are those same modifications we need to make to ensure that just like that car, we are adapting to the times because people are getting hurt?
That's not the same at all. In car accidents, all people have the same need for the same kind of safety. Online, however, we're not all at risk because we don't react the same to the same kind of content. So when people get hurt by something, we should ban the content. Is that it? Good luck agreeing with people about that.
What does a healthy social media environment look like to you in the future when you think about this work that your foundation is doing?
I don't know.
How can he find a solution when he doesn't even know what the goal is?
And the more information we have, the more information gathering we're able to do, the more we can have these high-level conversations and try to move the needle a little bit.
But that's the thing. What do these high-level conversations actually result in? What is the information they're gathering? And who are they gathering it for? Everything sounds great until you start asking people for definitions. Then the house of cards collapses.
And in that, I think so much of it can come down to if someone is looking for something, please don't feed them the thing that they're not looking for that's going to harm them. The algorithms are very powerful.
Sure thing. I'm sure that big companies will get right on it, especially considering how they're able to predict exactly what their users aren't looking for and what will harm them, because Meghan and Harry have made such precise definitions of what they propose instead.
I don't know.
So, on my visits to SmartWorks, one of the times that I went, I realized there was a little bit of a challenge in terms of styling for the women because we had a lot of donations, but not necessarily the things that women needed to have. I said, okay, well, let's try to work with what we have and make the best of it. And then the next time I went, you'll remember this, there was a rack of about 40 or 50 lilac-colored blazers. Now, don't get me wrong. It's a great blazer, and I'm sure for someone, it's exactly what she wants to be wearing.
By poking fun at the organization's implied lack of innovation, Meghan can make her changes seem that more innovative, in touch, and impactful. The organization's supposed lack of innovation is highlighted by Meghan's mention of how she tried to be overbearing at first.
I said, okay, well, let's try to work with what we have and make the best of it. And I'm sure for someone, it's exactly what she wants to be wearing. But for most women, when you're going in there and you want to have a job interview and you want to feel your very best and you want to feel confident, you want to be wearing the pieces of clothing that make you feel that way, and not the leftovers that didn't sell from the end of the season.
The leftovers that didn't sell from the end of the season.
And I'm sure for someone, it's exactly what she wants to be wearing.
You
want to be wearing the pieces of clothing that make you feel that way.
She's creating a so-called second persona in the speech. The second persona is the ideal consumer that the speaker has in mind, how the speaker wants the consumer to think and behave.
This is sort of how we thought of the SmartWorks capsule collection. So you have key pieces that you can mix and match and really maximize what you have. We all know that in your closet, right? You have certain pieces that you can take from 4 items of clothing and suddenly you have 10 outfits. So that was really important. We all know that, right?
Meghan appeals to alleged shared knowledge. Appeals to shared knowledge have an inbuilt preference for agreement. This way, Meghan keeps loading the second persona, and thus what she wants the audience to think and believe, with presuppositions.
What are traditional and quintessential British brands that I've become introduced to once I moved here that for me resonated and I knew would resonate with a SmartWorks customer?
Meghan's actually the second persona. It's her thoughts and ideas
that for me resonated and I knew would resonate with a SmartWorks customer.
So she's the confident SmartWorks customer that the audience should recognize in the speech and identify themselves with.
I just want to thank all of you for being able to be here, be a part of this success story for these women. I think it's really key in this day and age that we remember it's not just about the people that you know that you're supporting. It's about the people that you don't know, that you may never know, you may never meet. As women, it is 100% our responsibility, I think, to support and uplift each other, to champion each other as we aim to succeed, to not set each other up for failure, but instead to really be there rallying around each other and say, I want to help you.
I like the subtle self-praise.
So I think at the end of the day, I just want to thank all of you for being able to be here, be a part of this success story.
Making consumers think they're becoming part of a success story is another way that advertisers make brands and products more appealing. Also, the generic nature of her recommendations and the absence of specifics are common in advertising. What does it mean to uplift, champion, and help each other? That's completely dependent on the situation. If someone does assess something wrong, they shouldn't be uplifted, regardless of the gender they happen to have. However, that's where groupthink inevitably leads, to praising things that shouldn't be praised, because people don't dare go against the group.
Or so that everyone can play a part in this shared success story.
But social media is not going away. Something has devolved.
However, in 2016, Meghan spoke about social media in positive terms.
Yeah, I mean, the TIG it has a lot of elements to it. There's fashion, travel, of course,
There's
food.
interviews with
yeah, TIG talks that I do with a lot of celebrities or influencers. And then, you know, the beauty section, which is important to me because I've tried to redefine it and write a lot more think pieces and things that really speak to inner beauty. So I started it, it'll be 2 years in May. It's also been a great way for me to connect with people, like Emily, who's right here. I only know her through Twitter, and I knew she was coming because I saw it on social media.
Stop it, really?
Yes, and she's going on a trip soon to Costa Rica to do some aid work because she said that my UN stuff inspired her. I wrote you a letter. I brought it.
Okay, that is amazing.
It's so good to finally meet you. It's so great to meet you.
There were also problems with social media then, so what's changed? All that's changed is the negative backlash that Meghan and Harry have faced. So now, Meghan's not so happy about social media.
So how have you been able to manage the seemingly endless toxicity that comes at you?
Yes, social media is a environment that I think has a lot of that. You know, it's really interesting as I can reflect on it. I keep my distance from it right now just for my own well-being, and there has to be responsibility that lands somewhere. And that, you know, I think that there are ways to make strong changes on social media platforms and with the media in general. The systemic change has to happen at the same time as the cultural change is happening.
Thus, Meghan seems to be advocating for herself under the guise of advocating for certain causes.
Oftentimes as women, you may agree with this, the way that we see ourselves is reflected back to us, sometimes accurately and sometimes, much to our disservice, inaccurately in what we see in media.
As a side note, it's impossible to deny that this is a touching and totally unscripted moment. Until next time.